They fled Sudan seeking peace and refuge, only to be trapped by another deadly civil conflict, this time in Syria. Sudanese refugees in Syria are now hoping to be resettled elsewhere by the United Nations. CGTN's Alaa Ebrahim has this report from Damascus.
This mural here on display in Faiz Mansour Road, the main road of the Syrian capital Damascus, is the world's largest mural made from recyclable materials. The artist who designed it wanted to show how Syria's culture is only unique because it's made up of hundreds of thousands of smaller pieces. Throughout history, Syria has been a crossing and a destination for all kinds of people. In recent years, Syria became famous for a different reason, becoming the world's largest source of refugees. But it hasn't always been the same. Before the war, millions of people sought refuge in Syria. People from Greece in World War II, people from Iraq, Sudan, and even Chechnya and other parts of the world all came to Syria for safety. In fact, the Syrian government estimates that in the period between 2005 and 2007, nearly 7% of the country's population were refugees from other countries.
Since the late 1990s, Damascus has become home to hundreds of Sudanese refugees who fled from civil war in Sudan. In the Sudanese community, making a living in war-torn Syria is a challenge. But it is one thing that continues to unite them together. Safik Monde works this flea market just outside Damascus. And in this impoverished district, vendors of this makeshift stand would make 1,000 Syrian pounds a day. That is less than $2, but still they would call it a good day.
I came to Syria in 2000. Back then, South Sudan was a country. I was living in Yarmouk camp, and when war broke out there, I couldn't leave. It was very difficult times. We had to eat anything, including grass, to survive. I registered with the UN and they issued protection cards, but gave me no other help. I work here with the man who owns the stand. We make £1,000 a day, and if we do, he gives me 200, and sometimes we make no money.
Most, if not all, of the Sudanese refugees in Syria are waiting to leave for other destinations as part of a UN Refugee Agency resettlement program. Some have been waiting for years or even decades for a chance to live in a safer place.
I came here to flee war in Darfur, and now I find war here, and I have no source of income, but the aid I get isn't enough to go back to Darfur. The situation there is worse than here. I would travel anywhere to find a safe place. Throughout the war, rockets were falling near me. In this very market, I saw 3 or 4 people dying in front of us.
Recent political turmoil in Sudan and the ongoing conflict in Syria has limited options for Sudanese refugees. But for Safik and Abdul Karim, resettlement in another country means being able to get over the past. But for others like Ringer, it is a chance for a different future.
I came to Syria back in 1999, so I have been here for 20 years, since I was 6 years old. My parents left when war broke out here, but I decided to stay, so I finished my studying despite the war and the daily shelling, and I couldn't go back as the situation in my country isn't that very good. I am waiting to travel somewhere else. I am registered as a refugee with the United Nations and waiting for them to help me leave. I would like to go to Canada.
Life for refugees like Ringer is certainly not easy. He's a stranger to his homeland and a foreigner in the place he grew up in. But he still has hope that he will finally find a place to call home. Alaa Ebrahim, CGTN, Damascus.